Welcome to the Code Quality and Build Settings course of the Mobile Application Security Professional Series, brought to you by NowSecure. In this course, we'll cover build configuration issues, third-party components, memory corruption, and untrusted inputs. Let's get started. The Build Configuration Issues module. In this module, you will learn about common build configuration issues and risks, with focus on development internal URLs, development backdoors, if the app is debuggable, and insecure or insufficient signing key length. Hard-coded development internal URLs can often reveal endpoints that are unknown to the malicious attacker trying to gain access to the app. These often lead to endpoints in pre-production environments. A development backdoor allows a user to reach a different endpoint than other users within the app. For example, in the decompiled code here, any user could use the account username devadmin and log into the app with any password irrespective of the password validity. Enabling debugging features within an app can cause data leaks, such as extraneous functionality, and insecure network communications, among other issues. Only enable within pre-production code, and be certain it's removed before production to protect against violating security and privacy policies. You're reviewing the Android manifest file within an Android mobile app. You have suspicions that the file contains a security and privacy app issue that affects the organization and its users. The source code sets the app to a debuggable state and also allows the use of HTTP traffic. The source code should set Android debuggable to false, set the uses clear text traffic value to false, and add a network security config file. Android requires that all APKs be digitally signed with a certificate before they are installed on a device or updated. When signed with a short key length, an attacker will require significantly less time to crack the app's signing key. Verify that the APK has been signed with at least 2048 bits, preferably 4096 bits, to provide optimum protection against forged digital signatures. Developing a checklist for production builds will help eliminate code quality issues. The Third-Party Components module. In this module, you will learn why software bills of materials are becoming increasingly important for mobile apps. NowSecure founder Andrew Hogue is correct. Mobile apps are often a great place to start when implementing SBOM requirements into your product release program. A good percentage of mobile apps consist of third-party components, and most companies do not have visibility into what those components are. The best way to gain visibility into your app's third-party components is through a software bill of materials. The OWASP CycloneDX project, which provides standards in XML and JSON, provides excellent guidance on getting started with creating an SBOM. To statically analyze the full list of third-party dependencies within your app, you can utilize OWASP's publicly available dependency check. Since the SolarWinds breach, NowSecure has seen a marked increase in SBOMs being required within the public sector, led by the National Telecommunication and Information Administration Office, or NTIA. Many private sector organizations are also proactively requiring SBOMs for all apps they create as a standard internal protocol. NowSecure offers several options for those looking to pull an SBOM for their mobile app, including within the NowSecure platform or via our GitHub action. Developers rely heavily on third-party libraries. It's important to thoroughly probe and test third-party components as you test your code. Third-party libraries can contain vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Many developers assume third-party libraries are well developed and tested. However, issues can and do exist in their code. SBOMs help us get started with the daunting task of knowing what third-party dependencies our apps include. The Memory Corruption Issues module. In this module, you will learn about memory corruption issues and lack of support for security features such as ASLR, ARC and Pi, and stack smashing protection. We will also cover when memory corruption protection should apply. Memory corruption attacks happen when a program's memory is modified by an attacker in a way that was not intended by the original program. memory corruption vulnerabilities can be very hard to track down, but can be extremely severe. Android and iOS have built-in memory corruption protections that should be validated during testing. ASLR, or Address Space Layout Randomization, is a security feature introduced in Android that randomizes how an app is loaded and maintained in memory. Position-independent code or executable, PIC or PI, allows a program to be relocated, just like a shared object. Both are best practices as they are free, do not impact functionality of the app, and harden the app from a security perspective. Automatic reference counting, or ARC, is a free feature of Object-C in Swift. Enabling it has no discernible downsides and prevents memory corruption attacks such as object use after free exploits. If those exploits are possible, attackers can potentially gain access to a wide variety of information and access with potentially severe consequences. When an application is compiled with stack smashing protection, a known value or canary is placed on the stack directly before the local variables to protect the save base pointer, saved instruction pointer, and function arguments. The value of the canary, true or false, is verified upon the function return to see if it has been overwritten. This is another very simple best practice that hardens your app. Using objection, you can easily validate an iOS binary for ARC, ASLR, or PIC, and stack smashing protection. For Android, you can use a custom script with Rabin2 to test for PIC and SSP protection. When should memory corruption protection apply? When there is a possibility that a third-party library is causing this problem. As an example, the hybrid framework Flutter will not compile using stack canaries because of the way Dart mitigates buffer overflows. More often than not, developers do not have control over third-party libraries, and remediation could take an extensive amount of time. Libraries should be evaluated and implemented according to the company's security policy. Use free security protection features such as memory protection that will help enhance user security within your mobile app without drawbacks. The Untrusted Inputs module. In this module, you will learn about common exploits that occur due to untrusted inputs. Potential exploits that might occur due to untrusted inputs include SQL injection, cross-site scripting, buffer overflows, and unsafe resources in web views. Let's review more about these exploits. Android apps may use untrusted input to construct exploitable SQL queries. This means any app that simply requires this permission in its Android manifest will be able to target the content provider and potentially retrieve data. The images here highlight that lack of permissions on this Android app open the door for client-side SQL injection. This is found most commonly when apps do not sanitize input for any SQL statements and do not limit access to content providers. This cross-site scripting example occurred June 2020 due to WebView usage sharing app data, which can lead to breach of mail conversations stored in the device via XSS. The XSS bug allowed an attacker to steal user email conversations, contacts in mail.ru, and MyMail iOS apps. Mail.ru had over 100 million accounts at the time of the bug report. The researcher used alertlocation.href in the SVG file and sent mail to himself, allowing him to obtain the mail folder location. Buffer overflow exploits are another untrusted input that have led to severe vulnerabilities. Some vulnerabilities include a major exploit that allowed remote code execution, via a specially crafted series of RTCP packets sent to a target phone number. This affected WhatsApp Mobile for both Android and iOS at the time. Untrusted inputs open your app to attacks such as buffer overflows or client-side SQL injection to construct exploitable SQL queries.